Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, coming at you with another fun-filled educational experience on YouTube of dealing with LightBurn. First, I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. We've had a really good experience up to this point. At least I have. Started this adventure just in late June, and anybody asked me how long I've been lasering. Well, I've been lasering about this long. I haven't cut the hair since we got the laser in. I'm taking on and personifying the hobo, and uh, there's going to a lot of big changes coming in the very near future. Hopefully, have a video out in the next week disclosing a lot of the things that's upcoming and forthcoming. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of neat things to be seen and learned uh, for me and for you. So hang around and let's enjoy this ride together. Um, Today we're going to look at designing in LightBurn. I've used the circular array in some previous videos, but I have since learned some pretty neat techniques implementing node editing, circular array, and some different uses of the offset tool to change the perspective. And it's going to create some really unique designs that you can use. Uh, First thing that comes to mind is on your coasters, maybe even clock faces, anywhere you want to create some unique artwork. So hang around, and we're going to jump into LightBurn and see if we can't learn something together. Okay, guys, so we're going to jump in here to LightBurn, and we're going to try to do this kind of quick, but I know my videos, they get, but I feel like there's lots of good tips in there, and this one especially, with the way we're going to build these, if you hop around and jump, you're liable to miss a very important step. And whenever you jump forward, you're like, wait a minute, that looks cool, but how'd you do that? Now you got to back up. So just be patient, hang with me, and let's get through this. But the first thing, you need your shape properties open. If you don't have that already open, come up here to your window tab and come down to the bottom. You'll see shape properties, and obviously it won't be checked because you don't see it. So check that, and when you do, you'll have the tab populate over here in your console controls. Then open up your shape properties. We're going to first work with the polygon tool. So select our polygon tool, and we're going to draw out a symmetrical polygon. So holding your shift key, draw out a polygon, and then hit your select tool. And once you hit your select tool, now you populate your shape properties menu. In this first instance, we're going to work with a triangle. So here in your shape properties, it is telling you just that. It's telling you all the properties of that shape you have selected. And right now it is a 6-sided polygon, and we want to work with a triangle. So we're going to give it 3 sides. Now you can just highlight it and tell it 3 sides, and it's going to go right to your triangle. Or you can use your arrows there and arrow up and down. And you started out with 6-sided. Now you got 5 pentagon, 4 square, and 3 triangle. But you can just put in your value there, and it's good to go. All right, but we are working with a shape. And when you work with shapes, if you go directly to node editing, there are no nodes. There's nothing there to work with. So we want to convert this from a shape to a path. So go into edit, and we're going to convert to a path. And as soon as you do, you have 3 nodes that populate on your triangle. Now we need more nodes because we want to leave these as fixed anchor points, but we want to edit the sides of this. So the way we're going to do that is using the node editing tool. Just come over here, and you see how that line, in fact, let's zoom in just to that so you can see it a little closer. But when you get to the midpoint here, your cursor will change to where you have the little circle and the hash mark, telling you that's the midpoint between those 2 nodes. You can go there and hit the letter I for insert. Come on, I. There we go. and now you have an eye or a node inserted right there. But a neat trick I watched watching another video from another YouTube, my mentor, Louisiana hobby guy. You don't even have to worry about getting there in the middle. Just put your cursor on that line and hit the letter M as in middle. And the cursor was up there midways up, and it inserted a node in the middle of that line. Come here in the middle, or down here, and just hit the letter M. Now, I'm going to get on the line. There we go. And now the letter M puts a node in the middle. Alright, now we have 3 nodes inserted in the middle of each line of our equilateral triangle. Now, I want to convert those nodes to a curve, or to a smooth line. Because right now, if I take this node and grab it and just pull it in, see how it keeps it's angular. Alright, and I don't want that look. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to... well, before I do that, I'm going to draw a circle. Again, I'm not really worried about the size or measurements. I'm just creating an anchor point. And I want to put this in the middle of this triangle. So now, what that's going to serve as is just an anchor point. I'm going to come back to my triangle, go to my node editing, and hovering over that node, hit the letter S. S as in smooth. Because if you remember, just drawing it out, see how it's an angle? As soon as I hit the letter S over that, it turns it into a curve. Now, I'm going to undo. Now, with that in position, just hit S, S, and S. And when it does that, you can see it's put these extra little tangents out here to where you can now actually grab that and twist that line like so without even moving that node. You can do that. In fact, you know what? This is something that's kind of unique. That what's that? Shogun or I forget what. But that's kind of a unique design. Might even try using that later. But right now, if we got those converted to S's, just grab that node and bring it in here until it snaps to your circle. Come on now. And once it snaps, I don't need that circle anymore. We're going to select it and delete it. And now you've got a funky looking little triangle. Now with that singular design shape on the workbench, select it. We're going to come down here to our circular array, and that's with nine copies here. Now it's important that your circular array is set up correctly. You want to start at 0 degrees and end at 360 degrees, coming full circle, and your step is going to be dictated by the number of copies you use, as long as you're at 0 and 360. So right now, let's go back to 1. That's our singular piece. Now you're also going to want to make sure that you have, use the last selected object as the center, because it's the only object we're selecting in this case. So that's selected. We want to rotate those objects. And this auto increment variable text, we're not using any variable text, so it doesn't matter if you have it checked or not. But if you have, if you don't have your rotate objects selected, you can create all the copies you want, but they're not changing because they're just stacking right on top of each other. So go back to our 1 layer there. We're going to rotate copies. I'm going to create a copy of our original. I'm going to do that by hitting Control D, and I'm going to move it off to the side because I'm going to show you what you can do with this. Go back to our circular array, and let's start with 2 copies was not enough. We'll move this out of the way so we can see 3, 4. We'll start with 4 copies and say OK. Now you're going to want to group those all together, so select everything and group it. And move this over here to the side. We're going to select our original, Control D, and bring it back to the work table. And now that was 4 copies. let's go to our circular array, and if we increase it by 1, let's go to 5 copies. What does that look like? Something completely and totally different. I don't know that I like that one, but we'll see. We're going to keep that. Say, oh, okay. Select everything, group it together. I didn't see it. There we go. Group it. Control D and put it back to the center, and circular array. We had 4, 5. Let's do 6 copies. Circular array. Let's do 6. Okay. Select it all. Group it. Control D, duplicate it, move it to the center. We're going to keep that original shape. All right, now, so we had 4, 5, and 6. Now we need 7 copies. Offset and 7. And OK. And now let's group it all. All right, now this is where it starts to get fun. I'm just going to put these all on the work table so we can see them nice together. And all right, so now with those 4 shapes, and those are all 4 very unique and distinct shapes created from one shape that we did with node editing. And now we're going to change from a line mode to a fill mode. And now you have 4 very distinct patterns that would complement each other if you were doing a set of coasters, but you didn't want all 4 of the coasters to be identical. And it doesn't have to be coasters. Coasters is just one design, one place I can think of using a design like this. Now that's pretty cool, I think. But that was done with a triangle. Now let's work with a circle. And we're going to just set off this over here to the side. Now, and just for grins, if we put this over here, it's already in fill mode. And come back and go to our circular array. With the infill mode, you can actually see a preview of what that design is going to look like in real time as you increase your count, your copies. 10. I like that. Okay, so just set that. Oh, that's the original. I forgot to group it. Undo. Now select them all, group it all, and move that off to the side. So all 5 of those are very unique shapes, and all created from one very basic, simple triangle with a little bit of tweaking. Now let's work with a circular pattern. So holding our shift key and our circle tool, and draw a circle in any shape, doesn't matter. Let's go back to our line mode. And again, if we go to our node editing, there are no nodes because it's a shape. We need to change it from a shape to a path, and we do that by going into edit and convert to a path. And now you have 4 nodes to work with. Now I'm going to select just 2 of those nodes, and you can edit multiple nodes at the same time by holding your shift key, selecting a node, and then selecting the second node. Now both of them are highlighted, so when you move one, they're both going to move. So I'm going to change this circle to something like that. And I'm looking to see that those nodes are kept on the same plane, that they're parallel, or they're not skewed. You can skew it by going up higher, and actually it's part of the design. What looks good to you, and you don't know until you try this a few times. But I'm keeping those pretty much equal. All right, now. So I've got, that was a circle, and now just by using node editing, she's no longer a circle. But we're going to now do our circular array. And now look, that almost looks more like a flower. But let's take this down. We're going to do the same thing here. We'll do, that's 4 copies, 3 copies. 3 copies, 4 is redundant, 5. So it looks like every other one they're stacking on top of each other in this case. But let's do, we'll start there with 5 copies. I forgot to make a copy of the original, but that's okay, because I'm going to say okay. And before I group it, since the original is the only one that is selected right now, I can tell that because it's the only one with the Vegas lights or the ants chasing. So we're going to say Control D, and now you see those Vegas lights go away, and I can select just that one, move it out of the way, and now group everything together. Move it off to the side. Control D, and circular array. And really, if doing this in line fill would tell you which one you like better, and you might be the better way to go. I like that. Let's say, group it. Control D. And when you open your offset tool, it's going to default to the last time you used it. So this last one we did was 9 copies. So we know we don't need to do any less than 9. And let's bump it up instead of just doing it step by step. I forgot to group them. Undo. Group everything. Now move it. And we'll do one more of these. And then I'm going to show you another neat trick. I don't need to worry about duplicating because this is going to be the last one. And move this so we can see it. And now, okay. I forgot to group them again. Undo. Group it. And we're going to align that to the bottom. We're going to align this one to there. We're going to align this one to the other corner. And this one to the other corner. And that shows me everything nice. There are some pretty unique designs. Now, next tip on how to make these even more dramatic. Okay, so this is the first circular array we did using the circular pattern, and it's kind of a basic floral design. And with one simple little trick, we're going to change the total perspective of this, creating some depth and making it look more three-dimensional with one simple trick. This is grouped together, and what we want to do is now come in here and create an offset. And right now it's at 0. We want to give it some substantial size, so let's give it a 0.2 here. Say OK. Now that in and of itself doesn't look great. All it does is just put an outline around it. But now we've created that offset, and once you did that, it automatically selects just that offset. So holding my shift key and then using my arrow down button, I'm going to move that offset we just created down. We're going to drop it down to about there. Now, that is an entirely different look. And the way I determine where I put that offset, if we zoom in nice and tight, if I hold my shift key and move it down even more, you see that that offset now has dropped below the original design, and to me that just doesn't look good. You take it on down, now it's starting to look a little too fat, too ugly, don't line up right. So I've usually put that offset right at the top of that mark right there. So now to me that looks like I'm now looking up and over. It's got depth to it. It has changed the total perspective of that look or that design for me. Zoom in just to that. And now that works great for engraving, But if you want to have that look on something that you cut out, you have to take it one more step. And to do that, that outline or that offset is still selected. We want to create another offset, but this time we want to do it with 0 offset and say OK. And remember, the offset that we just created is what's selected. Now we're going to put it on a cut path. And now you're going to engrave that image with that dimensional look to it and then cut out that outline. And now you have a 3-dimensional cut. And that's what I do to a lot of earrings that I'm creating if I'm doing floral earrings. And it just gives it a much more true 3D look to it. It looks a lot better than just a image cut out there. So I hope you found this informative. And hang around. I'm going to give you a few little clues on what to expect on the next few videos and in the very near future. Okay, so a couple of things to be looking forward to. I'm looking forward to. I started with my diode laser in late June, and I've learned a lot, experienced a lot. I've done my first craft show, and what I have learned most is while this diode laser has a lot of capabilities, it has a lot of limitations, and it is very slow. Now, if you're just doing hobby work and you're only kicking out a few things here and there, then it's not a big deal. But where I really noticed my limitations was when preparing for this craft show that I did. I spent 2 weeks creating product to take to this show and working 12 or 13 hours a day. And I didn't have a whole lot to show for it. And I didn't realize just how bad it was until I participated in a video just the other day where we did a heads-up comparison between a 10-watt diode and a CO2 laser. It's mind-blowing. So I am now in the process of shopping for and buying a CO2 laser. So I'm stepping up from the diode to the CO2. And I'm also going to be partnering with a couple more laserologists, creating a whole new channel where we're going to be simply making things. We're not going to be so much instructional about using LightBurn as so much as it is on creating products. So this is going to be some interesting next few weeks, and I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you come along for the ride. As I get more and we get this other video up, I'm going to share it with you and give you more information about the upcoming channel and get you all to jump over and subscribe to it before we even get videos ready released. So you'll be ready, subscribed, and have your notification bell ready so that you can be prepared for that first drop. So come a long way in just a few weeks, and I appreciate you coming along for the ride and for the support. You have shared with me and taught me when I've done some things that weren't so great, and that's what this is good for. Put in the comments anything that you feel like, hey, there's a better way to do that, and I appreciate it. It's give and take here. So thank you for watching. Thanks for coming along for the ride. It's nowhere near over. This is just the next chapter, and I'm looking forward to it. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video. This is Steve, Hobo with Wood, and I'm out.